Hello and welcome to this episode of Into the Composer's Mind. My name is Byron Herman and I want to thank the Canada Council for its support of this project. Those who have been watching know that we are chronicling my composing of a new chamber music piece involving my family members in remembrance of my father. So, a lot has happened since the last episode. We were talking more about the revision process and how it is starting to how the entire work is starting to unfold. So, what has been happening is we've been going into the recording stage. The virtual recording stage where I have presented the score to date to the performers for the first part, the third part, and the coda. And this has been recorded virtually in a remote location in Ontario. And I need to thank my family members for the hard work that they've been putting into this project to do these recordings. So what happens, the recordings are done and then some editing is done on site and the files are sent to me to say, well, what do you think? And this is the point where I have to make some judgments. How close was the rendition to what I had in my mind, the sonic, the sound qualities I had in my mind, and how close to the actual score were they? And how is this going to integrate into the project? And do I need to do any revisions? Remember, had an idea in my mind. I wrote the score. Now I compare the two products, see how close they were, and see what sort of revisions need to be made. What am I comparing? The tone, the timbre, the intonation. Well, not so much the performance quality. That's another issue. But the general mood that the music was creating. Remember that the composer's job, or what the composer is doing, is using sound to project emotions, emotional states and feelings to the listener through the compositions that they're doing. So how close was this initial recording mixed in with some of the other elements which I have to the initial emotional content I was hoping for? That's what has been taking up most of my compositional thinking mind right now. And again, I did mention before, I kind of went into 24-hour mode where you sleep for a while, you write a bit, you listen a bit, you work a bit, you sleep a bit, you eat, etc., etc., as opposed to your normal routine. And after a while, it starts to take its toll a little bit on you physically. So as a composer, you need to make sure you take care of your health, that you eat properly, that you are getting enough sleep, and that you are also emotionally handling the difficulties and complexities as a project starts to be realized. And I must admit that I think I'm doing okay. But again, you have to be careful to balance your life and your activities. Any composer needs to do that. Any person needs to do that in the work that they're doing. So trying to get some sleep, but then every so often you wake up in the middle of the night and you go into the studio and say, let's try this, let's try that, and see how the comparison was between what you have, what you wanted, and how close was it to the project. Another overall compositional thing of compositional interest is how just checking to see how the audio is coming through. You always got to do that. You got to keep checking to make sure things are working well. The question was, how well are the elements that you're trying to put together projecting the emotions you want. And this is the point where I say, okay, I'm going to send out some of these audio files to friends and colleagues to say, what do you think? How do you feel about this? What's your initial reaction? It's kind of like sending out the first chapter of your book and saying, yeah, how do you feel about this? You're kind of letting your baby go out and see what sort of reaction you get. And then you use that to help you with processing what you need to do next. Another interesting thing that goes on is that this is a very personal project. It reflects, as most composers do, it reflects how you feel about a certain situation. Here, all of our family members are getting together to remember my father's life, his approach to community, to his faith, and to his family, and how that all integrates. However, like most musical compositions, they need to also speak to a wider audience, right? They need to be a little bit more universal. So you can't just say, well, we're going to put this all together, perform it once, and then play it in our remembrance situations, and never to see it again. When you're creating something, you want it to be a little bit more universal in the feeling that it's projecting, where the listener doesn't have to have that personal connection with the story that's being told. However, they can feel the emotions of the story being told, and sometimes when they hear the actual story behind the piece, start to connect with it a little bit better. You see that with program notes that are provided for concerts, and also even other videos such as this, where we have a conversation with the composer and that's shared with the listeners before the composition is played. So you're trying for a universal effect, as well as that very strong personal effect, and finding that combination is sometimes a little bit difficult. So again, I want to thank all of the family who are involved in stepping forward to provide their input into this composition and this project. It's not just me; it's unified work that several people have been providing content to. Finally, I just for today, it's important for composers or anybody in doing this sort of creative work to be as organized as possible. At this stage in the project, lots of things are happening. Files are being downloaded from one place, files are being collected from another place, scores are being printed, things are being performed, pieces of paper are coming back and forth, multiple computer programs are being used. So there's an awful lot of paper work involved in making sure that you are organized, that you don't get overwhelmed by all of the information that's coming in all at once. You need the composer needs to stay focused. So that's what I'm trying to do. Stay focused. Tonight I'm going to do this. Tomorrow I'm going to do this. I need this information by tomorrow at noon, and then I can allow me to continue with my work. So stay organized, stay focused, a really important part of the project at this point. So that's enough for today. I will continue to provide you with more information as to how the realization of this project is going. So thank you for listening and for watching this episode of Into the Composer's Mind, and I look forward to our next encounter.
It was quite a time.